All right, today we are starting section 2.4. We will spend more time on it tomorrow. We are solving multi-step inequalities. That's why our homework assignment and our warm-ups are about multi-step equations, so we can remember how these are related. For my first warm-up, 3x plus 8 plus x equals 24. What's my first step, Dominic?
Add 3x to just x.
What do we get?
4.
4x, good. 4x plus 8 equals 24 when we combine like terms. What can we do next? Subtract 8 on both sides. We get 4x equals
-16.
not negative.
16.
Positive 16.
Divided by 4.
Last step is to divide by 4. What do we get for x?
4.
Good. On our second warm-up, what's our first step?
Distribute.
Good. We actually have two options, but one good option is to distribute the -2. We got to be careful with our signs. -2 times 1 is what? -2. What about -2 times -7x?
14x.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive 14x equals -86. So we distributed the -2. What can we do next?
Add 2.
Very good. We need to add 2 to start getting x alone. So we have 14x equals, good, -84. Last step to get x all alone. Divide by 14. What do we get? X equals -6. Questions about our warm-ups? Concerns? Okay. To solve a multi-step inequality, simplify each side of the inequality. Recall that we reverse the inequality symbol when multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, this is not a whole lot different from when we did equations, so I would get this note down. The recall I would only write down if you don't remember that, but that was a rule that we should have written in our notes last week. If we multiply or divide both sides by a negative, we reverse or flip or change the inequality symbol. All right, so in our examples, we are going to solve the inequality and graph the solution. So we also have to remember our graphing rules from last week. First, let's solve it.
Add 4.
Okay, to get x alone, we must add 4 on both sides of that symbol. That gives me 2x is greater than or equal to, careful, what is it? 12. Okay, I kept hearing 4s and -4s.
Divided by 2.
Divide by 2.
6.
X is greater than or equal to 6. Did I need to flip that symbol at any time?
No.
No. Okay, we did not multiply or divide both sides by a negative, and our variable is already on which side? The left side, so we don't need to worry about flipping it around. Okay, I'm going to set up my number line.
Do we always have to do the number line?
If it says to graph, then yes. So if it says solve and graph, we need a number line. Am I open or closed at 6?
Close.
Why am I closed?
Because it got both equals.
Good. If it's got the bar underneath the symbol, then that means a closed circle. Am I shaded left or right? Right, because the symbol is... What kind of symbol?
Because it points to the left. I mean to the right.
It's pointing to the right because it's a greater than symbol. So yes, as long as your variable is on the left side, you can go by which way the pointy part is going. Goes to the right this time. Questions, concerns, need more time on number 1? Okay. Next one. Y over negative 6 is less than 9. Jasha is correct. To solve this, we would multiply both sides by a negative 6. Nine times negative 6 is negative 54.
Wouldn't you have to flip it?
Why?
Because you multiplied by a negative over negative.
Very good. We multiplied both sides by a negative number, negative 6 on both sides. That means our inequality symbol has to flip or reverse or change. So it becomes a greater than symbol. Okay, then we go to graph it. I am going to count by tens. I just think that's going to be easiest for me. Negative 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and negative 60. All right, if I'm putting a circle at negative 54, what two numbers will it be in between? Liam? Good, negative 60 and negative 50. Probably just a little closer to negative 50, but it's going to be pretty close to the middle of those. Open or closed?
Open.
Open. There is not a bar underneath it, so we leave it open. And we shade it to the right. Good. We go by what the symbol looks like at the very end. At the very end, it's a greater than. So we're going to shade right. Questions about number 2? Okay, moving on. Go ahead and try number 3 on your own for a minute or two. Complete with graphing it. We'll talk about it in a minute. What was our first step? Add 1 on both sides. That gives me 4b is less than. Next step. Divide by 4 on both sides. B is less than 2. Should the symbol have flipped ever? No. We didn't multiply or divide by a negative. We did not have to get the variable on the other side. Open or closed at 2. Shaded to the left. Shade to the left for less than. Questions on number 3? Need more time on number 3. Moving on. Eventually, we'll talk about it. Let's get it copied down. We'll go through this one together. Okay, we're trying to get n alone. Ideas for a first step. Dominic?
Minus 11.
Very good. We got to get rid of that 11 first. So we have n divided by negative 2 is greater than 1. Okay, again. Subtraction does not flip our symbol. It's just subtraction. It wasn't multiplying or dividing. Okay, now how are we going to get n alone? Multiply by what? Negative 2. And when we do that, n is alone because those negative 2's canceled out. But what else happens? Liam? Flip the symbol. We multiplied both sides by a negative, so the symbol in the middle there flips over to the other side. 1 times negative 2? is negative 2. Then we would be ready to graph on our number line. Are we open or closed at negative 2? Open at negative 2, shaded to the left. Good. We have to go by the last symbol. The last symbol was a less than, so we go left. Questions about number 4? Concerns? Confusion? Needing more time on it? Warm, fuzzy feelings about it? None of the above? We will also go through number 5 together. This one's a little tricky. This is one where we will have to be very careful to keep track of our symbol in the middle. Yes, ma'am.
What you have to do, minus 5.
Good. Our first step, hopefully, should be an easy step to see. We need to get the 5 away from the v. Remember, we're trying to get the variable alone. So anything around the variable, we want to move. So when we subtract 5 on both sides, 6 minus 5 is 1. Is my symbol going to change yet? No. What do I still have on the other side? Good. Negative v over 3. Questions so far? Next step. Okay. We can multiply both sides by 3. That would be a good step. So we multiply both sides by 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Do I need to flip my symbol yet? No. We multiplied by a positive, so we don't have to flip it. What's still on the other side? Negative v. Do I want a negative v?
No.
I want it to be positive. How do I get rid of that negative? Very good, James. We divide by a negative 1 on both sides. 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. I'm going to start writing up here. Should I flip my symbol?
Yes.
Yes. We divided both sides by a negative. We flip our symbol.
But you don't have to flip it. Yeah.
Why am I going to have to flip it again?
Because the variable is not on the left side.
Very good, Jasha. The variable is not on the left. So from here, we've got to flip the whole thing over. So the v flips over to the left, the negative 3 flips over to the right, and the symbol in the middle flips around also. Now we are finally ready to graph it. Am I open or closed at negative 3? Why am I closed? Good, closed because we've got the bar underneath it. And we are going to shade it to the right because it is a greater than symbol. Questions, concerns? Needing more time? Did we get all our steps down? This one had a lot of steps to it. Okay, the only way we could have shortened this one up a little bit is if you had multiplied by a negative 3 on both sides here. Then you would have gotten rid of the negative and the 3 at the same time. If that doesn't stand out to you as an option, the way we did it on the board is totally fine. So if you liked this way, that's fine. If you think you understand the negative 3, you could have done it that way. It would have saved you a step. Ready to move on? Two people are ready to move on. Anybody else ready to move on? Brianna is. Good. Okay. We'll keep it moving. Go ahead and try number 6 on your own. If you get it done and you want to compare your graph with someone sitting right next to you, not across the room from you, then that's fine. We'll talk about it in just a minute.
Add 2 on both sides.
Thank you, Brianne. We could add 2 on both sides. What would that give me, Brianne? 3x is less than 12. What else, Brianne? Divide both sides by 3. And Brianne, what would that give me?
X is less than 4.
Beautiful.
How can I answer?
Because you have helped me with so many, I wanted to hear someone else's voice for just a minute. Make sure your classmates know what's going on too. Questions about how we solved that one? Okay, that one should have been pretty straightforward for solving. Our symbol never changed. When we divided it was by a positive. We are ready to graph it. Open or closed at 4? Open at 4, shaded to the left. Open at 4, shaded left. Questions, concerns, need more time? Moving on. I'll let you give this one a try as well. Make sure you're watching your inequality symbol. Subtract 8 on both sides. What did you do next, James? Divide by 4. James, what did you get as your inequality then? Does our symbol flip? No. Symbol never flipped on this one. Okay, we divided by a positive. We subtracted, which never makes our symbol flip. Variable's already on the left. Are we open or closed at -2? Closed, shaded to the right. Closed, shaded right. Questions, concerns?
No.
Ready to move on?
Yes.
What's different about number 8? There's parentheses, which means we will have to distribute. When we distribute that -4, we have 8 is less than what?
Would be
Negative 4.
negative 4D.
I mean 4. I mean, right?
Plus 4 or minus 4?
I mean negative 30. Wait, wouldn't you?
Minus 4. So
What did
just
you?
think about -4 times +1.
Oh, okay.
A negative times a positive is a negative. 4 times 1 is 4. Now this looks a lot like problems we were already doing. So what should I do next? Add the 4 on both sides. 8 plus 4 gives me 12. Does my symbol need to change?
No.
Not right now. We just added. What do I do next? Divide by a -4.
You would change your symbol.
This time the symbol will change. Okay, this time the symbol did flip around because we divided both sides by a negative. So 12 divided by -4 is how I got -3 is greater than D. But now what do I have to do before I can graph?
What you have to flip it?
Flip the whole thing because we want the variable to be on the left. Now when we flip it over, the sign on the -3 is not changing. It's just moving over, but the inequality symbol in the middle has to flip over. One step at a time to make sure we're keeping track of our inequality symbol. When we graph this, are we open or closed at -3?
Open.
Open at -3, shaded to the left. Remember to go by the symbol at the very end of the problem. The very end we were less than, so we go left.
Like, I don't do math, so you just call them.
Add 6 on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me negative c over 2 is less than or equal to
Negative 2.
negative 2. Next up,
Add 2. Multiply 2.
multiply by 2. When I do that, the 2's cancel, but what do I still have on the left side?
Negative C.
A negative c. Do I flip my symbol?
No.
No, we multiplied by a positive. We don't flip it.
Negative 4.
Wonderful.
Divided by negative 1.
Good.
You flip your sign.
You gotta flip your sign.
4.
Beautiful. Questions about the solving before we do the graph?
No.
Yes, it's a lot of steps. Do them one at a time. It shouldn't be so bad. Make sure you're showing your work. The steps will be more overwhelming to keep track of if you're not just writing down your work. 0, 2, 4, 6. Open or closed at 4? Closed at 4. Shaded to the right. Questions, concerns about number 9? We ready to keep going? All right. We'll go through this one together.
Or we can just do it by ourselves.
You could. Dominic, what's up?
Right off the bat,
Mhm.
is six the unknown number?
A is a unknown.
I meant to say is A like greater than 6 right off the bat?
Not right off the bat, but we'll find out. Jasha, what do you think?
Multiply by 2.
Good. We need to get rid of that big fraction bar. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. The only reason that those parentheses are there is to remind us that that top numerator is a group. So we got to break it away from that 2 first. So we are not distributing this 2. It's canceling out with the 2 that's in the bottom. So all we have left is a plus 4 is greater than.
10.
Now we,
Subtract 4.
good, A is greater than 6.
See?
Okay, we go to graph it. Open or close at 6. Open at 6, shaded to the right side. Because it's greater than. Greater than shades to the right. Any other questions, concerns? The 7th grade class is putting on a variety show to raise money. It costs $700 to rent the banquet hall that they are going to use. If they charge $15 for each ticket, how many tickets do they need to sell in order to raise at least $1,000? Okay, so the banquet hall costs how much? Costs $700. That's important for us to know. How much is each ticket? One ticket is $15. How much are we trying to raise? We need a couple words in front of that.
At least.
Okay, we need at least $1,000. So how is it that we are making money from this? We're making money by selling what? Tickets. So we make money by selling tickets. How could we figure out how much money we're making?
Multiply.
Multiply what?
The 15.
15 by?
X.
By X. What would X stand for? Number of tickets. If you want to use a T, that's fine. Okay, so we're getting money by selling tickets. So 15x represents how much money we're getting. But how much money do we have to spend on this? We're not.
700.
Okay, we're spending $700 to be able to use a banquet hall. So from how much money we make, what do we need to do with the 700? Subtract it. How much money we make minus our cost needs to be at least $1,000. Which inequality symbol do we use for at least? Dominic?
A greater than along with a line underneath it.
Good. Greater than or equal to $1,000. So the money we make minus how much it costs us to do this needs to be greater than or equal to $1,000. Before we add 700 to start solving it, do we have questions on the setup? Okay. Add the 700 on both sides. We have 15x is greater than or equal to 1,700. We divide by 15. A calculator would be handy here.
You gotta say at least 114 tickets.
We need to sell at least what?
114 tickets.
Very good. So if we do that division, 1,700 divided by 15, we would get 113.3 repeating. But we need it to be bigger than that, and we can't sell part of a ticket. So I agree with Breon that needs to round up to 114. So I understand that by our rounding rules from middle school or elementary school, usually with a 3 we would round down, but 113 tickets isn't going to get us to that $1,000. We need it to be bigger than that, so it has to be at least 114 tickets.
It's kind of like reverse rule, right?
Well, it just depends on the problem, but in this case, yes, it goes the other way. So we need to sell at least 114 tickets. Questions about number 11? Concerns, confusion, warm, fuzzy feelings. We got all the important information and our setup, solving all written down? Okay. Next one, again, I'll read it off. We'll write down what's important. We'll set it up and solve. Daniel had $25 to spend at the fair. If the admission to the fair was $4 and the rides cost $1.50 each, what is the greatest number of rides Daniel can go on? So, he has $25. So our spending needs to be what compared to 25? So our options would be less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Can we spend more than $25? No. So that knocks out the greater thans. So we can spend less than $25. Can we spend equal to 25? Yes. So we need to spend $25 or less. So we'll get to that in a minute. Admission to the fair is $4, so that's important to know. Just to get in is going to cost us $4. One ride costs how much? $1.50. What is our unknown in this case? What are they asking us to find? Number of rides he can go on. So if we don't know it yet, we should use a variable like N, R. We're going to use R for rides. Number of rides. Okay, so if we're figuring out how much money he's spending, we know he's at least spending how much to get in? Oh, he has 25. How much is he spending to get in? $4 to get in. Okay, and then how much money is he spending on rides? Well, it depends on the number of rides. So what do you think we need to do? Multiply what? 150 times
4.
R. So how much a ride is times the number of rides he goes on. So the 150 gets multiplied by R. But what do we do with these two amounts? The price to get in and the price of the rides. If we're trying to figure out how much money we're spending total. If I said you spent $4 getting in and you spent $1.50 going on one ride, add them. You're trying to figure out how much you spent total. To get your total, you would have to add them. Okay, and that number that we get when we total it up needs to be what compared to the 25? Less than or equal to. We cannot spend more money than we have. Do we have questions on the setup this time? Because this one seemed a little harder to set up. Okay, James, what am I doing next? Subtract 4 on both sides. 150R is less than or equal to 21. Good, we divide both sides by 150. What did we get? 14. We agree? Okay, and this one we don't have to worry about rounding on. It came out nice. So we can go on 14 rides or less. So 14 would be the greatest number of rides we could go on. Do we have questions on this first? Concerns? We're sure? Need more time? Okay. Yes, you do have homework. It is out of the book. We are doing pages 77, 78, 3 through 16, all of them. 3 through 16, also 29 and 33.